Hi class, this is your Real Deal Taco video feedback, and I'm just going to go through these very quickly and try and help you see some of the things that you'll want to work on to submit next week in your revision. You will implement the feedback that you're given in order to make full credit. Your initial launch, your soft launch, you may have made a high score, but if students neglect to implement the feedback, then the chances of making 100 again are not that good. So you could have made 100% on the soft launch, but not make that on the resubmission, all right, if the feedback is not implemented. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. So let's start jumping in right here. The logo works very well. It's all really clear. This heading 6, that looks like just some of your instruction here. You might want to take this off. And this is all really clear. You've got your drop downs aren't covering anything, so they aren't bothering me at all. And you've really gotten into some detail. You want to be careful about, and this is for everybody, you want to be careful about the glassware, because that's something that isn't going to be in a food truck situation. All right. All right. Okay. All right. I don't know, Shane, if you need the second logo. It doesn't really bother me. It may be okay. You do have a second navigation here, which I'm not sure you need that. It's really not that long. You may need something that just, sends you back up. I don't think you need 2 navigations. All right, so this is covering up, so you want to do something about that, right? When it covers up content. And then you'll take this off, and then you won't have to scroll as much, and that'll be fine. Okay. So it looks as though, let's see. This doesn't appear to be entered text. If it is, then I'm not able to select it. It does look just like the PDF or the content that you were given. So this needs to be entered. It looks good the way you have it laid out. Just make sure you're entering for the purpose of SEO. Search engines won't be able to find a picture of words, so you'll want to manage that. Okay. I think this is a good concept. You may have to do something about this layout, though, the way it's covering things up a little bit, if you can do that. Okay. All right. You've really taken some time with this, Shane. I appreciate the time that you've put into some of the newer concepts. Let's see. Remember when we say clicking here, you want it to actually say something meaningful rather than clicking, because a screen reader will not be able to let someone know what it is they're doing when they click there necessarily, although you do explain it beforehand. Okay. Yeah, I don't think you need this down here, especially when it's just on the same page even, okay? Again, you're covering content, so I'm not sure you need to do that. I think just having the about and then having it be the story. You don't need this. Okay. Yeah. otherwise you've done a good job here. Just wondering if we want to align this left. It really doesn't bother me. You're holding it up pretty well. Okay. I think this is really where you want your locations. So, maybe instead, I think maybe you want to, I know it will change your division here of your buttons, but you may just want about and locations underneath that. Okay. All right. Let's see, these Real Deal Taco does have a Facebook page, Twitter, and perhaps an Instagram too. I have to check that, but so you want to get those going. All right. You've done a lot of great stuff, and mostly it's just a matter of taking this off and streamlining a little bit, but you've done a really good job. Good work. Okay. Interesting. This is very legible. All of this, I can really read all of it. This, maybe not as much. You might need a little bit of, I like this photo, I wouldn't change it. You might need a little bit of a slight shadow underneath this to help it read. Nice. Good job. All right, Kathy, you did a good job here. Looks good. This image might need to be optimized. It popped up later, but not too bad. Everything is consistent. You'll want to cut this story down, I think. People don't read very much online, especially if they're on their mobile phone. They're looking for content, but they're not going to read the backstory too much. If they're in a restaurant, they may, because they may be waiting and they may take time or take interest. A little bit of space here. Okay, that's overlapping here. So the kerning needs to be adjusted a little bit. Yeah. Be careful with plates, because food trucks are not going to have glassware. If it's in the kitchen and it's something they're using, that's one thing, but as far as the food, that's something you want to change. Okay. You may want something that will bring you to the top. Okay. Okay. Again, that image. It's a nice image. It just needs to be optimized so it loads a little bit quicker. These can be separated a little bit, so you've got a couple of paragraphs. You could do something to help these stand out a little bit. This has a space there. That's not the biggest deal, but okay, nice. Be nice if these probably had a border, a very thin hairline rule or a 1-point rule. Very nice. Beautiful dog. Okay, so this is better. You've got some separations there. A little bit of space here. It's a lot of white space there. Okay, so I would try and align these at the bottom if you can. I know that may mean bringing this up or making some changes, but too much space here. Okay, so you may have to cut that down, and you can do that. If you have a client, of course, you're not going to be able to just edit as you wish. You'll have to get it approved. But we've just got that white space, and you've got so much going on here for you that, you know, you'll be able to make those corrections before this is resubmitted. Try and add another line here so it's even. That would be good for you. Since you have the ability to do whatever you want, if you need this here, you know, because you need it to square off in some sense, that's fine. But otherwise, these look like they're clickable. So weigh that out. This is great. Love it. Okay. And everyone needs to make sure they double check their spelling and their grammar using, this could be a little bit bigger, I think, just a little bigger. You can use Grammarly. This is grainy, and that's okay if it's your style. I'm not sure it is. So it looks a little out of place. If everything were like this, then I would think that that's the way it should be, but I'm not sure that that's what you're trying to say. It's not a deal breaker, but, you know, you might try and look for something that is a little sharper. Okay. So all of this is entered. I feel like it's probably, responsive. It is responsive, but I think I still would put a few more breaks in it, so it's not quite so wide. All right. And of course, they won't be able to search this. I would probably just make these, a downloadable button instead of putting it on the whole thing. It could be confusing to some people. Okay. What we do, services, and then menu. I think menu would be here instead of services. I think you would bring that up. And we're having to scroll to get to the menu. So you might want to think about that if you want to get into it a little quicker. Okay. All right, so the one thing everybody wants to think about is, and you want to go ahead and finish this R and period there. The one thing that everybody wants to think about is you want to minimize clicks and you want to minimize scrolling. And when we tell someone, when they use our navigation and they click on a page, we're telling them, we're promising them that this is what's going to be on that page. So we want to make sure that we get them into that content as soon as possible, right? Aesthetics are good and they're important, but we definitely want to give them that which they went there to find, okay, as fast as possible so they won't be confused or have that instant delay about where am I, okay? But you did a great job. You did a lot of work, Kathy, as usual. Nice work. Come back to that one. Okay, little space difference here. I'm not sure that this cut paper is working for you, all right? I would try and make this font larger, and I personally would get rid of that. I would get rid of the shapes that are here. They look a little dated because, because they are kind of dated, but also they don't look like a style as much because we've got rectangles going here, ovals going here, rectangles going here. So let's stick with the rectangles. Let's take these buttons off and If you want to bring this up and align it here with your content, you can do that. I would put this, it's not really working on this page for you the way it is currently. I would put it on, if you want to put it on the front page, bring this up and maybe it'll work out for you there. Okay. Okay. And you can make these the same depth if you want to have them aligned at the bottom. But you did a good job for the most part of this. I want to go back to your home. This is a little out of place. I don't think you need it. Okay, you've got welcome here. You're going to make that larger, take this off, and it's different from this. So you want your headers to be the same. Okay. Okay. You can cut this down still a little more and probably make it just a little wider. Definitely separate some of the paragraphs. It's a lot of run-on, so it's a little hard to read and it's a little long, okay? So no deeper than that. Okay. I'm not sure you need the About Us here. You've got the About right there. If you do, it needs to be consistent with your other headers that you have on each page. The color's working. This background is working for you. I don't know how fast it loads. Check that out. But the background is working a lot more than this one. Okay. I don't usually like when the same image is there because a user might not know that they're changing, but everything is above the scroll, and so we do see a change for the content. Okay, so mostly what you're going to do is just try, you need a little space here, I think. Just try and clean things up, make things a little clearer. This would be really hard to read on a mobile site. It'd be really tight as you get here. So just think about, I know these white blocks make it easier to read and separate it, but just think about it. If you're going to do that, it needs to be super consistent and it still needs to be legible and have your breaks where you need them. Okay? All right, really close, super close. So we say news, but we have location and testimonials. So that's something you want to work on. This should probably say locations and then another one for news and events. All right. And not sure you need this. If you do, you'll probably want to include it somewhere or align it at the bottom. All right. Good job. Great start. Enlarge your logo also. Okay. All right, this is all legible. I think I would make this blue a little brighter, a little lighter, but everything's easy to read. Okay, this becomes more difficult. You need to left align, and we need to have upper lowercase, I think. Everything caps is hard to read. That shadow. Could probably cut it down to another 4 or 5 lines off of that. Because our aesthetic has really changed. See this text with this? It's really changing a lot. We've got multiple styles. So really you want to try and stick to about 2 fonts, and you can go to fontjoy.com and compare those, all right, to see combinations that you like. A lot of space here. This wouldn't have to be there. Got quite a few headers stacked. I would cut this down because you can. You're free to do that for your portfolio. take a little space out here, align this. Okay, and align that. I'm not sure where your sides are, so you may have some work there. And we take a while. Okay, see, I have to scroll up now. We take a while to get into the menu. So you might be able to do something about that. You know, we have the page starting up here, but our menu is starting way down here. So think about that. Not sure you need these to be anything other than sprinkled throughout your site. I don't know that it needs to have a whole page given over to it, a whole section. And your contact, location and contact. And another font here and here and here. So you really want to watch that. Narrow down to 2 fonts, one for your headers and one for your body copy. Okay. All right. And I think you may want something that says locations is more important than testimonials. You can have testimonials just throughout, not too big, just throughout, and that will serve its purpose. All right. The other thing that everybody wants to watch is when you have, let's say anything, testimonials in this case, and it's the second page, then it needs to be the second item on your navigation. Okay. All right. Good start. Okay. We won't need the logo twice like this. So probably just here, I would probably take the square off. There is a white version, or you can make it white a little bigger. And again, with the fonts, we've got a number of different font styles. But it's easy to read. Try not to have one word by itself on a line. Bring that up. And the images should be aligned. You know, here, this is much, the width is not as wide as this is, so you want to align those as best you can. I'm not sure this is necessary. It's not linking to anything. So what you do want is to have your social media somewhere, maybe down here, because it's stationary. That would be a good place, Brittany. But yeah, but this isn't really necessary. Okay, that page. Okay. Takes us a while to get into the content. We've got a big header here and another. So, yeah, and there's a lot of scrolling here. All right. We are scrolling to get to the content. So here's really what we want. Okay. All of this we don't need to have. We've already asked for the locations, and so we're getting into this. You can put that in here, and you can, work with it how you like, but that's what you want to think about. Okay. And this is for everybody. When you have a thumbnail, make sure that we aren't cutting anything off. I know that if I click on this, the ad's going to be awesome, but even in the thumbnail, let's try and make things look a little cleaned up so that we have lots of padding around it before it's cropped. Okay, I think you want these to be next to the E. So we changed colors here. And I feel like we've changed the kerning. Also, I thought this was misspelled, but I didn't catch it. I wasn't sure that that was what I was looking at. So yeah, we want to correct the spelling for that. I think this would be better as a sans serif and split this up into a couple of paragraphs. These are great photos. They need to be cropped to be aligned. All right. Same here. Align this and align your text with that as well. Okay. And this won't need to be here. You might have to edit some things down. You might have to cut that down. There is a lot here. You don't need all of it. That's why we give it to you, so that everyone can edit that down for the internet or for the web. Okay. Yeah. You don't need any of this, really. If they're not going to send a form to you and contact you by email, all of this can just be up here or down here, okay, with your links. And they will link, and you can put your number there also if you choose to do that, okay? But mostly simplifying and getting straight into your content is what you want to work with. Okay, so one of the first things I notice is everything is laid out pretty well so far. And I do think that this logo needs to be a little bigger. I probably would get rid of at least the bottom rule on these, if not the rules altogether. They may look like they're floating without it, but double check. The social media I'm looking for is down here, and it is going to the Real Deal, so that's great. You want to update your copyright and your name and the date here. A little hard to read this. We need to probably make this white or lime green or something lighter so that we can read it. And okay, this might be, yeah, okay, our locations. And so let me check. Now I want to go over here. All right. Let's, okay. And you guys, you can, if you note that Tuesday and Thursday are the same, and Monday and Wednesday, if you want to combine those, that's okay if you need to. Let's get a little bit of hierarchy as far as the headers, all right? And here, really we want to get rid of that rule. I think this doesn't look completely centered to me, okay? There's a little more space over here. So check out that. And I think you can do a little bit, this kind of works here, separating that. But I think you can make this bigger, and I think what you want to do is change your colors here a little bit, all right? Maybe you pick up where you did here, and maybe it's a blue with white, or as I say, kind of a very light, soft green. Usually works with these things as well. Don't choose orange because that will vibrate. Cut down your content, watch how it's flowing and breaking up the lines. Do make it left align. So that's something that you definitely want to do, and make sure there's a period here. That is not your fault. It never comes through for some reason. I'll have to double check that file. Okay, so don't let it go beyond this. All right, so this is as far down as you really need it to go. Not a lot of scrolling. People aren't going to read it. All right. Make sure all your headers are consistent fonts. Okay. First glance, this is working really well. Double check this. You want to bring that up. Watch your flow here. These aren't aligned. Maybe that's okay if it's centered. Just keep an eye on those things. Okay, so this needs to be formatted, right? A little space here, and maybe a date, not a date, a title of what the event is, maybe a little bigger, like a header, fresh art event, up here, kind of thing. Make sure you're reflowing, and have everything be in about 2 paragraphs. This isn't so bad, and this isn't so bad, but you can bring this up to here. All right. Okay. Same thing. This is very easy to read, so I'm okay with that. Maybe just punch it up a little bit as far as color, and it doesn't even have to be much to help it out there. All right, good work. Okay, so far I like this. We've got a problem here, right? So either we change the image or we change the color of the text. These are hard to read, so if you have them up here, you can omit them, or you can go ahead and make them bigger, Lindsay, all right? Remember these. Think about how that's going to look when you're, let's see, does that fall differently? Think about how these are going to look when you are on a mobile, for example. You aren't responsible this month for mobile, but you will be when you get to web design next year in several months. So keep that in mind. Do you need this square? It doesn't bother me. But do you need it? It's black, and this looks like it's magenta, so or kind of Bordeaux. Think about that. These don't seem to be connected at the moment. Maybe they are, and I'm not seeing it, but they don't appear to be. Okay, so we have a little something coming up underneath that. Watch your reflows, split the paragraphs, and everybody, hopefully you're watching the whole thing so that you're picking up from other people things. Make this a different color, like the blue or something. I know red pops out, but if it's the only thing on there, the red isn't working as well. And check out what happened when we went to that page. Okay, so this was there, but July or something was there too, and I'm not sure it was from that. We want to make sure we enter that for sure, so it's searchable. Make sure these images are aligned. You need space there, and it needs to be consistent space throughout. Okay. And so you're going to work on that page. You probably don't need to have that right on. Okay, it's nice that you know how to do it, but now you probably don't need it. We also have a lot of stacking going on here. You may decide to move your logo, or you may decide to move your menu box up here or up here, and then your navigation, so that we can get into your content quicker. Remember that, and I know I'm harping on details that I want everyone to change. It doesn't mean that you haven't done a good job so far, but remember that a food truck isn't going to serve in glass bowls. A little deep here, we can get rid of that. Reflow that, get rid of that. And yes, you do need to have them aligned, but you might have to reduce some of these things. Got an issue here. It looks like there's an image stuck there. It's a banner I see, but it's breaking in a funny place. So if you can work on that. Okay, and your reflow space. All right. This is an awesome photo of gathering, but again, it's glassware, and we're not going to be thinking about that as a food truck. Okay, they don't have a restaurant. Okay. free flow, and separate your paragraphs. Great add. And align things at the bottom and give yourself enough space. Right? I know these are details that you guys are working on, and they'll be worked out by the time you resubmit. We want to get into the contact because that's where, we're telling you that's what's going on. So you want to get into that quickly. I do think this is running into problems here. It's just too deep of a banner up here for you, and pushing your content down. But this looks good. It's not centered, and you want to make sure your text is the same. It's not the same throughout. Great photo. Align. Okay, so you may want to split those up into Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. But I really do like this image for what you're going for. All right? All right, good work. Okay, we may have the same issue here with the depth, right? We want to bring our content up. Easy to read, nice and aligned. Content, your text fonts are the same so far. And again, we have that image that's split. Okay. I don't think we need all of these down here. If you want to keep this down here, you might make it one long line, Kevin. That might work for you in your footer. Okay. You might be able to crunch this down just a little so that it aligns here. And otherwise, not a lot of problems with this. The hierarchy is pretty good. But there was something. I guess that is a cap. It didn't feel like a cap. Make sure they're all the same size. Okay. We definitely put some work into it. This is currently going to Facebook, Wix Facebook, so you want to send that over to Real Deals. Okay, so you'll want to make sure that we have no placeholder text or placeholder images. So far, super great images. Okay, nice image. And you cut it down. Great. And this is not going on top. Bob looks super trustworthy and like he'd be a really great cook. And Brenda looks like olive oil, and that's awesome. And Ryan, you've got a driver, cool. Andrew, awesome. Sandra, okay, so you've put some time into it, love it. Oh, trusted, yes. No wonder I said that. Okay, I was reading that somewhere. Okay, people are talking. Good, good. You didn't overburden us with, taking up a lot of space with the testimonials, but they're there. So, great job. Very, very little that you have to do really to make it complete. Great job, Kevin. Okay, probably need a little bit of an outline drop shadow. The outline could be very light gray. It could be very, very, very light green. Something to help it separate from the background because I really love the image. But we are having trouble with the font contrast. Okay, that's nice and discreet. You've got quite a bit here. We don't have the logo at all. Okay, so logo, always important. You can use the white one if you want. You can make it look like a stamp, whatever you want to do, but we need to have that. It's not a restaurant, it's a food truck, so keep that in mind. Fill in your paragraph, no placement text. Okay, fill in your menu, take out the reservations, take out the order online, and I'm saying that mostly because you've got some things to do still, and that's just it's not required, and it's just going to take away from the time you need to spend on the menu and locations and things. Okay, but everything's pretty tight here as far as the style. Change this date. Okay, so images are good. They don't have a bar, so take that out. Okay, all right, so I think you know what to do after looking at some of the others. The style is great. You're really, really close. You're just going to have to eliminate some things, Sean, okay? And but otherwise, and make sure you get the logo on there. All right, good job. All right, now we've got double logo, but let's just have one and let's not clip it here. Give it a little more space. Make sure that this doesn't cover up any of your images when we scroll. Well, it can cover images, but it can't cover text or anything important about. So this is good. It's not covering anything up. But we do have a lot of empty space down here you can remove. The red and blue start to vibrate a little bit. Let's take out this space. And if you don't have a form, you really only need this to be in the footer or something, right? And here's you, okay, Wes, you've got your fictitious disclaimer. That's good. These are good. Okay. Good, you've got reference to food truck. This is getting lost a little bit, so you'll want to work on that. Your locations are working. Make sure it's all centered. I think that it is. I do have to scroll up. Oh, no, I don't, because here it is. Right, so yeah, I think your first page just needs something a little snazzier, right? Could be anything. It could be like this with a big taco or something, but something that, and I think you see what I mean. So work on that. For this one, just go through, double check everything, spacing, lettering, everything's the same size. Here you have your locations. About us, you might need a header, just like you have here. If you want it in a sub type, that might be fun as far as, not as big, or you have the room to make it just as big. Testimonials, make sure that's the same font. Okay. And you could put that there, but it's fine, just bring that space over. And okay, so this is going below, so you're going to fix that anchor. I think just take this out, and you can do that. Okay, pretty much these want to go to the, okay, this one does go to the real deal. So complete those. All in all, you've got a great start. You just have some editing to do, right? I feel like this needs to have a header that is a little more like the others, a little more like this, and still be able to get into the content. You've done that well. There's not a lot of scrolling. I'm not sure I like the rules. Okay, a little more padding around this, all right? But good start, great start, in fact. Okay. Lot of space here that we are going to have to wonder, it almost looks like a splash page, like enter here, but we wouldn't need that. So let's find a way to bring this maybe up here if you want that centered, and maybe bring your social media over here, or rather your navigation. just so you have a little more room. Okay, because now we're scrolling to get to the menu. Make sure you enter all of that text. Enter all of that text. Again, you're going to give yourself, make your banner not so deep. You won't need another logo if you lock it in place, and you won't need story twice. Just be sure that you use the same font and the same size. Then use this, and take this out, and edit this down probably to 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs would be fine, although, and make sure you have a period there. Yeah. Enter this text. Yeah, same thing everywhere. Enter, bring all this up, and you won't need that. Just put your social media icons somewhere is all you need. And again, you have been consistent, but we need to bring all this up and just lock in your logo somewhere, either in the center here with your navigation so that it doesn't scroll at all. Could be here, this could stay here, this could stay here, and then get rid of this and bring this up, make it just maybe slightly smaller than this, and then get into that. All right? Okay. Just a few sweeping changes there you need to make. It's always an interesting photo. Wish the guy had gloves on. You might think about that for your client. It actually could be made to look like he has gloves if you were to make a shape and just make this, put a very, very, very light transparent over it with a little rim on it, and he could look like he has gloves on. And all you will have done is make his hand slightly opaque, put just a little bit of transparent shape over it. I'm not suggesting you do that, but if that's all you had to do, then I would do it. Make this a little bigger, help it to stand out. Maybe it needs to be white. You do a little flip there. Doesn't really bother me. Nice. I'm not sure what I'm submitting, right? So, yeah, that's your menu, so that's not related. Either change that to say menu, but you're going to enter menu. Okay, so far, the layout is working. A little space there that you don't need. You've got your U there that's larger. Do you need to do that? Because we don't see it anywhere else. So I wouldn't do that personally. Nice. Everything's left aligned. This is a little small. It's smaller than this. If you were to get into, this is smaller, bigger. If you were to get into mobile, it would be hard to read. Great image. Could make that blue, but I'm not asking you to. Reduce this down, I'm just saying in the future if you ever needed to. This is okay, but probably not necessary to have that much of it. Definitely bring this up, and maybe that won't be as significant, won't be taking up quite that much. And I'm just thinking about it. You could say real customers, REEL, if you wanted to. Doesn't affect much. Okay, everything's working. The about me, of course, might say about us or about Real Deal. Okay, but basically you've got everything you need here. Just some changes that need to definitely be made. All right. All right. So, good job, Lakeisha. So everybody, I hope you go through these. Make sure that you look at everybody's, because that will help you improve your site. And without these changes implemented, it'll be hard to get 100% on your revision, because you've had some time to really look at it. And this is what you'll be working on in week 4. All right? Good job, everybody.